My manager gave me a 47-page employee handbook and told me to follow every single rule to the letter or I'd be fired. Let me back up. I'm a project manager at a mid-sized tech company in Austin. I've been there 4 years, always got good reviews, and I'm pretty good at my job. My manager is Karen. Yes, that's actually her name, and she's been running our department for about 2 years. She's the type who loves rules and control. A few months ago, I made a small mistake on a client report. Nothing crazy. I forgot to put the date in the top right corner instead of the top left. The client didn't care. The project was fine. But Karen absolutely lost it. She called me into her office on a Tuesday morning. I remember, because I was about to grab coffee. "This is unacceptable," she said, holding up the report like it was on fire. "Do you even read the handbook?" "I do, but no buts. You're going to read it again, every page, every rule, and you're going to follow it exactly as written, not your version of it, not what you think makes sense, the actual rules. If you can't do that, we need to talk about your future here." I was annoyed, but I figured, okay, whatever. I went home and actually read the whole handbook, and I mean really read it. That's when I noticed something. The handbook was full of rules that nobody actually followed. Like Rule 23 said all emails had to be sent between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on business days. Rule 31 said every team member had to eat lunch in the break room between 12 and 1 p.m. Rule 44 said all meetings had to start exactly on the hour or half hour, no exceptions. Rule 15 said you had to log out of your computer every single time you left your desk, even if it was just for 2 minutes. I realized what I had to do. The next day, I started following every rule. Exactly. First, I sent an email at 7:47 p.m. asking about a client issue. Karen got it the next morning and immediately sent back. "This violates Handbook Rule 23. Emails only during business hours." She copied HR. I replied, "You're right. My apologies. I'll make sure all future emails are sent between 9 and 5. Then I stopped eating lunch at my desk. Every day at noon, I went to the break room. But the break room only had a microwave and a sad fridge, so I started microwaving fish. Not a little fish, a whole salmon. The smell was insane. Karen came out of her office on the third day gagging. "What is that smell?" "I'm following Rule 31, eating lunch in the break room between 12 and 1 p.m. This is my lunch." She turned red. "Don't be smart with me. I'm just following the handbook you asked me to follow." But it got worse. I started logging out of my computer every time I left my desk, every single time, to get water, to go to the bathroom to ask someone a question. Log out, log back in. It took 30 seconds each time. By the end of the day, I'd logged in and out about 80 times. My computer started running slow. Karen noticed I was taking longer to respond to messages. "Why are you so slow today?" "I'm following Rule 15, logging out every time I leave my desk. It takes time to log back in." She stared at me. "That's not what that rule means. It's exactly what it says. Should I get you the handbook?" Then came the meetings. Rule 44. Every meeting starts on the hour or half hour. No exceptions. I scheduled a meeting with Karen for 2:17 p.m. When she saw the invite, she called me. "This is 2:17. Meetings are on the hour or half hour." "Yes, and I can't make our meeting fit the schedule any other way. We need to talk about the Peterson project. It's urgent. Should I move it to 2:30 and push back my 2:30 meeting with the client?" She hung up on me. This went on for 2 weeks. I was polite, professional, and completely by the book. But it was chaos. Karen couldn't run the department. Nothing moved. Meetings were scheduled at weird times. Nobody could work efficiently. Then HR called me in. Karen had complained that I was being difficult and obstructive. "I've been following every rule exactly as written," I said. "Karen told me to follow the handbook to the letter, or I'd be fired. So I am. Is there a problem?" The HR person, a guy named David, looked confused. He flipped through the handbook. "Nobody follows these rules literally. Some of these don't even make sense." That's what I was thinking, but Karen was very clear. Every rule. No exceptions. David called Karen in. It was awkward. He told her straight up, "These rules need to be updated or clarified. You can't demand someone follow a handbook that's full of outdated or impractical rules and then punish them for doing exactly that. It's not fair. It's not legal." Karen's face went white. 2 weeks later, the handbook was updated. All the old rules were removed or rewritten to actually make sense, and Karen had to apologize to me, in writing, in front of HR. I'm still at the company. Karen barely talks to me now, and nobody ever tells me to follow the handbook to the letter again. My mom chose her boyfriend over me when I needed her most, and now she's asking me to help pay for his medical bills. Let me back up. I'm 28, and my mom raised me alone after my dad left when I was a baby. We were close, really close. She worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, and I promised myself I'd take care of her when she got older. Then she met Derek when I was 22. He seemed okay at first, but pretty quick, he started isolating her. He didn't like her hanging out with me. He said I was too needy. He made comments about how I was old enough to stop bothering her. She was spending all her time with him, and I barely saw her anymore. Then came the worst year of my life. I was 25, and I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, really bad. I needed surgery, and the recovery was brutal. I was in and out of the hospital for months. I needed help. I needed my mom. I called her. I remember exactly what I said. "Mom, I need you. Can you come stay with me for a few weeks? I can't take care of myself right now." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Honey, Derek booked us a trip to Cancun next month. It's non-refundable. Can't you ask one of your friends?" I didn't say anything. I just hung up. She didn't come. My best friend Sarah ended up taking time off work to help me. Sarah, not my mom. I remember lying in bed after surgery crying, and Sarah was the one bringing me water and pills and helping me to the bathroom. My mom sent a text that said she was thinking of me. That was 3 years ago. We talk now, but it's different. I keep my distance. It has to be that way for my own health. Last month Derek had a heart attack. He's going to be okay, but he needs surgery and rehab. Medical bills are huge. His insurance is bad. My mom called me. Her voice was shaky. Baby, I need to talk to you about something. Derek's medical bills are really bad. Like, really bad. Almost $200,000 even with insurance. I was wondering if you could help us out. Maybe $10,000 or $15,000. I felt my chest get tight. Mom, I know it's a lot, but he's family now, and I don't have anyone else to ask. You don't have anyone else? Mom, I needed you 3 years ago. I was sick. I was scared. I called you, and you chose a vacation with Derek over your own kid. That's not fair. That was different. How is it different? You're asking me to bail out the guy who made you choose him over me, the guy who literally told you I was too needy, and now you want my money to save him. She started crying. I made a mistake. I know I did, but I'm asking you now. Please, I'm begging you. I don't have $10,000 to just give away, Mom. But even if I did, I can't. I can't do this. You made your choice. So that's it? You're just going to punish me forever? I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. She hasn't called back. My sister thinks I'm being cruel. She says Derek didn't ask to have a heart attack, and my mom is scared and desperate. She says family helps family no matter what. But my sister wasn't the one lying in a hospital bed feeling abandoned. My best friend Sarah says I did the right thing. She says boundaries aren't punishment. She says I can't set myself on fire to keep my mom warm. But I keep thinking about my mom. She's probably stressed out of her mind. And Derek, I don't wish bad things on him. I just can't help him. I can't. I don't know if I'm the bad guy here. I know I sound cold, but I've spent 3 years rebuilding my life without her, and asking me to be there for her now, when she wasn't there for me, it just feels wrong. Am I the bad guy for saying no? My boss stole every major project I built for 5 years and got promoted twice off my back. When I found out he was selling our company's code to a rival, I made sure he paid with everything. Let me back up. I'm a software engineer. I was hired at TechCore in 2018 as a mid-level developer. My boss was this guy named Derek. He was 38, always dressed sharp, talked a big game in meetings. Within the first month, I realized something was off. I built features. Derek would present them to the executives. He'd say, "We built it," but really it was me. He'd sit in his office while I coded for 12 hours straight. But I was young and dumb. I didn't push back. I thought maybe that's how it worked. Then he got promoted to VP of engineering. Then 2 years later, senior VP. The promotions came right after I finished the biggest projects. A new payment system, a mobile app that doubled user engagement, a machine learning tool that saved the company millions. All mine. All presented by him. I talked to him about it once. I was maybe 28 at this point. I walked into his office and said, "Derek, I need to talk about my career. I've built like 6 major features and I'm still at the same level I started at." He looked at me and said, "Look, you're talented but you need to learn how to communicate. You're not ready for leadership yet. Keep doing what you're doing and we'll talk in a year." I left that meeting so angry I almost quit, but I had a mortgage. I needed the job. Then in 2023 I found something that changed everything. I was debugging some old code and I noticed something strange. Lines of our proprietary code were showing up in a GitHub repository. Not our company's GitHub. Someone else's. I dug deeper. The code was being used by a company called NextGen Solutions. Derek's brother owned NextGen Solutions. I realized Derek was selling our source code to his brother's company. He was literally stealing from TechCore and making money on the side. This was a federal crime. Trade secret theft, wire fraud, the works. I printed everything. The code comparisons, the GitHub logs, the email chain where Derek talked to his brother about the new delivery. I had all of it. I didn't go to Derek. I didn't go to HR first. I went straight to the CEO. Her name was Linda. She was in her 60s and didn't take shit from anyone. I walked into her office on a Tuesday and said, "Linda, I need to show you something, and I need you to listen to all of it before you react." I showed her everything. The stolen code, the connection to Derek's brother, the pattern going back 3 years. She didn't say anything. She just stared at the screen. Her face got red. She said, "How long have you known about this?" I said, "About 2 weeks." I wanted to be completely sure before I said anything. "Don't tell anyone about this." "Not yet." Then she called the company's lawyers and the FBI. It took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of Derek walking around like everything was normal, still taking credit for my work in meetings, while federal agents were building a case against him. On a Friday afternoon, Derek got arrested at his desk. They walked him out in handcuffs. The whole office saw it. By Monday, the company had filed a lawsuit against NextGen Solutions for stolen intellectual property. Derek was charged with theft of trade secrets and wire fraud. He ended up taking a plea deal. 3 years in federal prison. His brother's company got shut down. Both of them lost everything. But here's the payoff. Linda gave me Derek's old job, Senior VP of Engineering, $140,000 raise, stock options, the title I should have had years ago. And I made sure everyone at the company knew the truth. Not from me directly, but Linda made it clear in a company meeting that Derek had been stealing code and taking credit for other people's work. She even mentioned that if anyone had information about other problems in the company, they should come forward. Derek's career is over. His reputation is destroyed. He's in prison. And I got the job, the money, and the respect I should have had all along. Sometimes the best revenge isn't something you plan. It's just telling the truth when it matters most. My boss gave me a written order to follow the employee handbook with 0 exceptions, no matter what. I followed it perfectly, and it cost him his job. So here's the thing. I work as a project manager at this mid-sized tech company in Austin, Texas. Been there for 4 years. My boss was this guy named Derek, mid-40s, always looking for ways to cut corners and break rules. He'd ask me to come in on weekends without paying overtime. He'd tell me to bill client hours to projects that didn't match the work. Small stuff that added up. One day Derek calls me into his office. He's mad because I filed a complaint with HR about the unpaid overtime. He slides a piece of paper across his desk. It's a printed copy of our employee handbook. Not the whole thing, just the section on work hours and conduct. From now on, you follow this handbook exactly as written, he says. No exceptions, no interpretation. You read it, you do it, word for word. I look at him. That's what I've been trying to do. No, you haven't, Derek snaps back. You've been making up your own rules, so now you follow the handbook, period. He makes me sign a document saying I understand. He even emails it to HR with me CC'd. Derek thinks he's being clever. He thinks the handbook gives him cover for whatever he wants to do. That's where Derek messed up. I read that handbook front to back that night. Really read it. And I found something beautiful on page 12. Section 4.2. All employees are entitled to a lunch break of no less than 1 hour, taken between noon and 2 p.m., away from their workspace. This is non-negotiable and required by law. Derek never took lunch breaks. He ate at his desk while working. Every single day. The handbook also had section 3.1. All employees must clock in and out using the time system. Failure to clock in is considered unpaid work and violates company policy. I started tracking. Derek never clocked in on Fridays. Just walked in and started working. Never hit the clock. Then there was section 5.5. Any employee working beyond 40 hours per week must file overtime documentation within 24 hours of completion. Derek made me work 60-hour weeks. Never filed the overtime docs. Never paid me. So Monday morning I walk into Derek's office with my own printed copy of the handbook. Derek, I've been thinking about what you said, I tell him, about following the handbook exactly. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. He looks confused. Yeah, good. That's what I want. So I noticed something, I say, pointing at page 12. You haven't taken a lunch break in the month since you gave me this order. The handbook says it's non-negotiable. Derek waves his hand. That's different. Different how, I ask. You said no exceptions, no interpretation. Those are your words. The handbook doesn't say that, I say, sliding the page across his desk. It says all employees. You're an employee. You're being a smartass, Derek says. I'm following the handbook exactly as written, I tell him, like you ordered me to do. I start documenting everything. Every time Derek doesn't clock in. Every Friday he skips the time system. Every week he doesn't file overtime docs for the work I did. I take screenshots, I write it all down with dates and times. After 2 weeks of this, Derek loses it. He calls me into his office again. Stop this right now, he says. You know what you're doing. I'm following the handbook, I say. You made that very clear. I'm your boss. I make the rules. The handbook is the rule, I say. You gave me a signed order to follow it with no exceptions. I submit my documentation to HR. Everything. The unpaid overtime, the missing clock-ins, the lunch breaks he never took, the time theft. I attach his signed order about following the handbook. I also include all the times he asked me to work without overtime pay. HR starts investigating. Turns out Derek's been doing this stuff for years. The investigation takes 3 weeks. They find he owes the company over $40,000 in unpaid overtime to multiple employees. They find he falsified time records. Derek gets fired. Not just fired, he has to pay back the money. The company also reports him to the state labor board. He tried to use the handbook as a shield. Instead, I used it as a sword. The best part? HR revised the handbook after this. Made it clearer about what applies to management versus staff. And they backpaid me for all the overtime Derek stole. I paid for my best friend's entire wedding, $47,000, and told her it was a gift. 6 months later, she's bragging about how she saved money, and I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Let me back up. Sarah and I have been best friends since we were 12. We're both 34 now. When she got engaged to Mark 3 years ago, I was her maid of honor. I was happy for her, really happy, but then the wedding planning started, and things got weird. Sarah and Mark wanted a big wedding, like really big. 300 guests, country club venue, full catering, the works. The problem was, they were broke. Sarah worked as a teacher. Mark was a graphic designer doing freelance work. Together they made maybe 90 grand a year, and they had student loans. One night, Sarah called me crying. She said, I don't know how we're going to afford this. My parents can't help. Mark's parents are dealing with his dad's medical bills. I feel like we're going to have to cancel. I listened to her cry for like 20 minutes, and then I said something I've regretted ever since. I said, what if I helped? Sarah got quiet. She said, what do you mean helped? I didn't think it through. I just said, I could maybe cover some of the costs. Consider it a wedding gift. Here's the thing. I had money. My grandpa died 2 years before and left me about 200 grand. I had a good job as a software manager, no kids, no mortgage, because I owned my place outright. I was stable, and I loved Sarah like a sister. But I should have been more careful with my words. Sarah took that as me offering to pay for everything, and instead of me sitting down and saying, wait, I need to clarify what I actually meant, I just went along with it. We met with the wedding planner. Sarah showed me the budget, $47,000. I remember looking at that number and feeling sick. But Sarah looked so hopeful. She said, you're really going to do this for us? And I said yes. Looking back, I know that was stupid. I was being a people pleaser. I was scared of disappointing her. I didn't want to be the friend who said no, so I paid for everything. The venue, the catering, the flowers, the photography, the band. $47,000 came out of my savings account over the course of a year. During all of this, Sarah never once said thank you in a real way. She'd say stuff like, I'm so lucky my best friend is rich, or she'd joke about it, but there was never a serious conversation about what this meant or how grateful she actually was. The wedding was beautiful. Everyone had a great time. Nark's parents pulled me aside and thanked me. Sarah's mom hugged me and cried, but Sarah just acted like it was normal. Then, 6 months later, I was at lunch with Sarah and 2 other friends. Sarah started talking about how smart she and Mark had been with their finances. She said, we were so good about saving. Everyone thought we couldn't afford a nice wedding, but we pulled it off without going into debt. I felt my face get hot. I literally said, Sarah, I paid for your entire wedding. She looked at me like I was crazy. She said, I know, as a gift. That's not the same as us going into debt. But you're not telling people I paid for it, I said. You're taking credit for saving money when you didn't save anything. Sarah's voice changed. She got cold. She said, are you seriously asking me to broadcast to everyone that you paid for my wedding? That's embarrassing. It sounds like I'm poor and needed charity. You're not poor, I said, but you're lying about how you paid for it. I'm not lying. I'm just not going into the details of my finances with everyone I know. I took a breath. I said something I knew would change things. I said, Sarah, I need that money back. The table went silent. Our other friends looked down at their plates. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She said, are you serious? You said it was a gift. I know what I said, I told her, but I said it in a moment and I didn't think it through. And then you let me pay for everything without ever having a real conversation about it. And now you're taking credit for something you didn't do. So you're punishing me for being proud of my wedding? No, I said. I'm asking you to be honest. Either tell people the truth about how you paid for it, or pay me back. Sarah stood up and left. She didn't say anything. She just walked out. That was 3 months ago. We haven't spoken since. She blocked me on Instagram. Mark texted me once saying I was being cruel and that Sarah was devastated. But here's what's eating at me. Was I wrong to ask for the money back? I made a choice to give it, I know that. But Sarah also made a choice to take it, and then act like she didn't need help. And now she's lying about it. I don't know if I'm the bad guy here. Part of me thinks I am. Part of me thinks she should have just been honest. My neighbor Derek flooded my house on purpose, and when I tried to be nice about it, he did it again. Let me back up. I live in a townhouse in Portland, and Derek lives right next door. He's this guy in his 50s who thinks the world owes him something. I bought my place 3 years ago, fixed it up, and minded my own business. Derek, though, he started complaining about everything from day one. The first flood happened in March. Derek has this pool in his backyard that he'd been filling up for weeks. I noticed water pooling on my side of the fence, but I figured it was just runoff. Then one morning, I found water coming up through my basement, like actual water damage. Turns out Derek had built his pool without a proper drain system, and all that water was leaking into the shared soil line and backing up into my place. I called him about it. I wasn't angry. I just said, hey Derek, I think your pool is causing flooding on my side. We should talk to a contractor and figure this out. He told me to get bent. Actually, his exact words were, not my problem if you built your house like garbage. Maybe fix your own drainage. I tried to be reasonable. I said, Derek, this is coming from your property. My insurance company confirmed it. We need to fix this together. No, he said, and slammed the door. I ended up spending $4,000 to fix my basement and install a new sump pump. I sent Derek an invoice. He threw it in the trash. Then in May, it happened again. Derek had added more water to the pool, and the same flooding started. I was furious this time. I showed up at his door with photos and documentation. Derek, this is the second time. I've already paid $4 grand. We're getting a court order if you don't drain that pool. He laughed at me. Actually, laughed. He said, you think anyone's going to care about your little water problem? Go ahead, sue me, waste your money. I called my lawyer. I called the city. I called everyone. The city inspector came out and told Derek his pool installation violated code. They gave him 30 days to fix it or drain it. Derek ignored the notice. Then the third flood came in July. This time, it was worse. Water filled my basement again, and it started seeping into my garage. I was done being nice. I called a contractor and got a written assessment. Then I called the city back and reported that Derek was violating the drainage ordinance. The city inspector came out again, took photos, and issued Derek a citation. Derek ignored that too. But here's where it got good. The city has this rule. If you don't comply with a safety violation after 2 notices, they can fine you $500 a day. They also can place a lien on your property. I also filed a small claims case for my $4,000 in damages, plus the new costs from the third flood, which came to another $3,000. Derek got served with a citation, the fine, notices, and the court papers all in the same week. Suddenly he was calling me. Hey man, let's work this out. I don't want problems. Too late. The city fined him $500 a day for 60 days before he finally drained the pool. That's $30,000 in fines. Then I won my small claims case for $7,000. The judge ordered him to pay all my damages, plus court costs. But the real thing that got him, he tried to sell his house last month. The title company found the city lien from the fines. No bank would give him a mortgage on that property until he paid it off. His buyer walked. His real estate agent told him he's basically stuck. I see him sometimes when he's taking out the trash. He doesn't look at me anymore. His lawyer sent me a letter asking if I'd drop the case. I didn't respond. Sometimes being nice gets you nowhere. Sometimes you have to let the system do the work for you. I found out my best friend of 20 years had a secret kid with another woman, and I told his wife. Let me back up. Marcus and I met in college. We were roommates, then groomsmen in each other's weddings. When he married Sarah 8 years ago, I was genuinely happy for him. They seemed solid. They had 2 kids together, a house in the suburbs, the whole thing. I saw them every other weekend. We'd have barbecues, go on fishing trips, the usual best friend stuff. Last month, I ran into Marcus at a grocery store on a Tuesday afternoon. He was with a woman I'd never seen before. She had a little boy with her, maybe 5 or 6 years old. The kid had Marcus's exact same eyes. Marcus looked panicked when he saw me. He introduced the woman as his friend from work and rushed out before I could say anything. The whole thing felt wrong. I couldn't let it go. I texted him that night. Hey man, who was that at the store? He took hours to respond. When he did, he said, "Look, it's complicated. Can we grab a beer?" We met at Murphy's, our usual bar on Friday night. Marcus ordered a whiskey and just sat there for a minute, not saying anything. Then he told me everything. He'd had an affair 5 years ago. The woman got pregnant. He's been paying child support and seeing the kid twice a month. Sarah has no idea. He's been lying for 5 years. I felt sick. "Marcus, what are you doing? How long were you planning to hide this?" "I made a mistake," he said. "I was stupid. But if Sarah finds out, it's over. My kids lose their dad. Everything falls apart. I can't lose my kids." "Your wife deserves to know," I said. "Don't you dare," he said. His voice got cold, real cold. "This is not your call to make. You tell her and you lose me. I'm serious. I will cut you out completely, 20 years down the drain." I didn't respond. I just left. For 2 weeks I sat with this secret. It was eating me alive. I couldn't sleep. Every time I saw Sarah at a family dinner, I felt like a liar. She kept talking about their upcoming anniversary trip to Mexico, how excited she was. She was planning it as a surprise for him. And Marcus was just lying to her face the whole time. I called my sister. She said I shouldn't get involved. "It's not your marriage," she said. My mom said the same thing. But my wife said, "If you were Sarah, would you want someone to tell you? If Marcus was lying to you for 5 years?" That did it. I called Sarah. I asked if we could talk. We met at a coffee shop on a Wednesday morning. I told her everything. About the affair, the kid, the child support payments. I showed her the text Marcus sent me, the one where he basically admitted it all. She just stared at me. Her face went white, then red. She started shaking. "How long have you known?" 2 weeks, I said. 2 weeks, and you're only telling me now? "I needed to," I said. "You deserve the truth." "Thank you for telling me. I needed to know." Then she left. Marcus found out that same day. His phone had been pinging all morning. Sarah must have gone through his stuff. He called me at work, screaming, "You had no right. No right. You just destroyed my family." "Your choices destroyed your family," I said. "We were best friends," he said. His voice cracked. "And you betrayed me. You went behind my back and told my wife my biggest secret. How could you do that?" "Because she's your wife. She deserved to know. You should have talked to me first. You should have given me a chance to tell her myself." "Would you have?" He didn't answer. "I thought so," I said. He hung up. That was 3 weeks ago. Sarah's filing for divorce. Marcus moved into an apartment. He's fighting for custody, but it's messy. His lawyer told him he looks bad because of the affair and the secret kid. He has to pay more child support now. He's trying to rebuild his relationship with his kids, but it's hard. Marcus won't talk to me. He blocked me on everything. Our other friends are split. Some say I did the right thing. Some say I should have stayed out of it. His brother texted me saying I ruined his life. I keep wondering if I made a huge mistake. I had a choice to keep my mouth shut and keep my best friend. Instead, I told the truth and lost him. Sarah's doing better now, but Marcus's kids are dealing with a divorce. He's miserable. I'm miserable. Did I do the right thing? Or did I blow up someone's life because I couldn't mind my own business?